In this video, I'll be covering the 3 products that absolutely bombed after doing $1.6 million in wood product sales. I'll be covering why they sucked, how they sucked, and what 3 products absolutely surprised me over the last 12 months. I'm Ryan Drapella. I run a wood product business that I started as a hobbyist and now run across multiple brands doing 7 figures. And I also own a CNC supply company called CIC Workshop. So without further ado, let's start with the product that hurt the most because it used to do really well for us. And that product is charcuterie boards. Now, not just any charcuterie boards, but this particular charcuterie board design, I used to sell a ton of. Let me give you some numbers. So in 2022, these charcuterie boards did $256,000 in sales. Now, these sales come across Etsy, business-to-business relationships, maybe a real estate agent, and Amazon. The very next year, $87,600. 2024, $32,500. And in 2025, we did only $12,100 in sales. That's really bad, right? Really bad. We went from $256,000 in sales to $12,000 in sales over a 4-year period. That is a 96% reduction in revenue. I said this one hurts, right? So why did these fail, right? Like what made them fail? And you may say like, well, Ryan, charcuterie boards, like everybody has charcuterie boards. They're not a big thing. Well, when I came out with these, obviously they were selling like hotcakes, right? And I think the reason was because they have this thing in the middle where I can engrave, and there's this huge fad because everybody was coming out of COVID, getting back together, and everybody was just enjoying family and buying charcuterie boards. Well, now, I think that has sailed because even these are now mini charcuterie boards, right? And my design got copied a few times, and nothing against it. This is woodworking, this is business. But as those sales decreased, we did try a few different things. We tried marketing a little different, maybe running a few ads. We tried different photography, right? So after 4 years of declining sales, this product is finally getting cut from our business. The biggest lesson learned is that past success does not guarantee future demand, especially when you're riding a fad. And so the charcuterie fad, for at least my business and this design, has came and went, and so are these charcuterie boards. They're cut. Now the next product is 100% on me. So I love this product. I took professional photos. I put a ton of marketing behind it. I tried to sell it on Amazon, Etsy, and my website, and it did less than $10,000 in sales over a 2-year period. And that product is the angled cutting board. And so this is a personalized cutting board that I would sell, that I would engrave the name right here. Well, try to engrave the name because nobody really bought it. And the thought behind it was personalization is always on the top or always on the side, but what if you can make it visible 24/7 to the customer, right? And I'm not gonna say I'm a subject expert, but we do almost sell like 10,000 cutting boards a year out of my shop. So I had a pretty good idea of what the customer base wanted. And so I came out with this one. I had these amazing photos taken. Here are some right there, and put it out there, and it didn't sell. And I was like, well, maybe they're not getting it, right? And so I threw marketing dollars behind it, and it still didn't sell. So I came out with another color combo, right? The solid maple one. Didn't sell. Redid the photos, right? Had the nice walnut, extended the maple a little bit, put the engraving there, put some rubber feet on it, made it look snazzy, right? And it still didn't sell. And after 2 solid years and doing less than $10,000 in sales, I took my ego, right? I took my ego, I set it to the side, and this product is officially getting cut over the next month. And so the huge lesson learned here for me is not every product is a banger, right? Is coming out the gate amazing, and you have to know when to cut your losses. So the shorter lesson I can give you, and especially in woodworking, is that ego is expensive. Now, all of these numbers that I'm giving you and all this data is real, and the reason I'm doing that is because I don't want you to waste time on failures, or maybe you can learn from some of my mistakes. And in all honesty, I want you making good decisions and making a ton of product. That is why Cutting It Close exists. Because if you're making good decisions, building a lot of wood stuff, hopefully you get some of your bits and materials from CIC Workshop. So both of our incentives are aligned, right? I got plenty of wood to shake a stick at, and I hope you can use some of it. So the next product I'm cutting was a seasonal product that I kind of experimented with, and that product is this Valentine's heart tray. Simple, but very effective. And I may have gotten my own head on this one because, one point in time, anything I was making I could sell, and I can sell a ton of it. And so I was like, you know what? Everybody's making solid wood trays. Let me add this maple stripe right here, right? Let me just make it a little different. And it sold. We did, I think, around $20,000, something like that. So it did really well. But the problem was, on a larger scale, and in our shop's a larger scale shop, we were competing with novelty items. And so the problem with competing with novelty items is that the person that's buying it doesn't really care how high quality it is, okay? So we're doing this stuff out of real walnut, 1.25 inch thick, no sapwood, a nice maple stripe, and all they want is something to put a few chocolates in, right, on Valentine's Day. And so my price point for this, depending on where I sold it at, whether it's Etsy or Amazon, was $45 to $55, right? And that's not necessarily crazy high, but definitely not competing with a $19.99 bamboo product or a $10 acacia wood product that you see on Amazon. So side by side, even though Phil loves Sharon, right? Absolutely loves Sharon, he ain't about to cough up $55 to put some chocolates in this. And so over time, when we're pushing marketing dollars towards it and we're trying to make this in the shop, I realized that people do not want a high quality heart tray. They just want a tray that's shaped like a heart. So the key lessons for me for this heart tray was that you have to understand what the customer wants and values that. Sometimes all they want is just a tray shaped like a heart, right? Sometimes all they want is something simple and you try to overcomplicate it and make it too nice. So now let's talk about some of the winners and the biggest surprises that I had over the last 12 months. And this first one is a product that I would never own, I would never use, I didn't even know how to properly name it, but a few customers asked me to make it, and so I did. And that product are stovetop covers, or AKA noodle boards. Not just any noodle boards, big, heavy, large noodle boards made out of maple, cherry, or walnut. So this is a cherry one that I literally just took out of the laser room. We just lasered it. We still got to put a finish on it right here. This is a bad one that we keep around the shop because it has a broken handle made out of maple. And this is a future walnut one right here. Now this product is a complete surprise. So this is not my first year selling these. I have been selling these for a number of years, but this year I did something interesting right before the Christmas rush, and that is I jacked up the price 33% because I am so tired of making these and shipping these because it takes so much wood, so much beautiful wood, and I was like, you know what, I'm tired of making them, right? The shipping costs a lot. If it gets damaged in shipping, and it sometimes does because it's so big, the customer calls, and it was a real pain in the butt. So I went up on the price 33%, which is around $50, okay? So these went from $150 to $200, and the sales actually went up a little bit. And so this one was such a big surprise because it's one of the first things you're probably told to make as a woodworker, right? Like, make a noodle board, make a stovetop cover they sell, and you make them out of pine, and then somebody says they can't sell them, and somebody says they're too saturated. Well, I have done over $250,000 just this year with stovetop covers. Huge surprise. And when I went up on the price, I made a little bit more margin, and they are still selling. So after raising the price, trying to kill the product because I do not want to make them, I do not enjoy just whipping up stovetop covers, they still sold. So I'm keeping them. I'm going to keep making them, keep kind of cringing a little bit as I'm making them. But you know what? At the end of the day, I'm in business to make money, and I got mouths to feed in the shop. And so stovetop covers are here to stay, and they were a massive surprise. Lesson learned, if it's making money, don't stop doing it, even if you don't like it. Now, time for the next surprise. So this next product surprised me in a different way because I loved to make these, but I never really thought they would sell. And the reason that is I listened to everybody else's hype, right? And that product is basic in-grain cutting boards. Now, I was very hesitant on making these, and I didn't come out with these till about 9 months ago. And the original reason I was hesitant was because, I'm on Facebook, I'm on these amazing cutting board groups, I'm a woodworker, right? So I see everybody making these beautiful cutting boards designs, right? And sometimes they go to a craft show and they don't sell. And honestly, to me, I was getting a little discouraged from all that. And so I was like, you know what? I sell long grain cutting boards. I sell thousands of them a year. I don't feel like messing with in grain. That's a different customer base. I can't charge enough money or whatever it may be, right? Well, the funny thing is, one of our things that I sell on CIC Workshop are in-grain cutting board kits. And what it is if you have a CNC and you want to do inlays or you do not feel like making cutting boards, you can buy a base or a thin top from us and we save you a ton of time. And so I was letting other people make these really, really high-end cutting boards. Well, at a certain point, we had so many bases that couldn't really pass because maybe they had too much sapwood in the walnut, or we had too much minerality in the maple, right? So it wasn't a consistent color. And so it really didn't pass the quality control for CIC Workshop. And so these started stacking up, and I was like, well, what if we take this board right here, router the edge of it, put some rubber feet on the bottom, and dip it in oil. Literally, it's our same base that we sell on CIC Workshop, and we just throw it on Etsy, right? And so we literally took this exact same base, made it look pretty, dipped it in oil, doubled and a half the price. So whatever you can buy this for on CIC Workshop, I just jacked up the price a ton, and they started selling. And they started selling so much so that it went through all of the products that didn't pass quality control, and we actually had to start making them specifically for Etsy, for my website, for business-to-business gifting. And that was just fascinating to me because it's a product that is very simple, right? There's nothing sexy about a maple cutting board, right? There's nothing sexy about that. There's nothing sexy about this walnut cutting board, right? It doesn't have the inlay. It doesn't have all of these cool effects. It doesn't have the stripe, but it's still sold. And I do think nice professional photos have a lot to do with that. And I do have a decent sized Etsy shop. But with that being said, I'm just telling y'all things that are surprising to me, right? And so basic in-grain cutting boards sell. And I always tell people, and well, I don't tell this to my wife, but size does matter, right? And so doing a bigger type board like this is a nice size. And so maybe people will pay a little bit up for it. I did a whole video over 5 ways I sell cutting boards because I sell a ton of them. But also this little one works really well too. And guess what the little one is? The big one cut in half. One product turns into 2. It's pretty cool. So what is the lesson learned? Simple, proven products that have been selling for years will probably still sell. In-grain cutting boards are not a fad. They are here to stay. So take good photos and see what happens. If you've had products that you sank your heart into that absolutely bombed, let me know in the comments down below. Or if you had one of those weird surprising products that everybody wants that you didn't think would do well at all, let me also know that in the comment section below. Now the last product actually started as a joke, and that is this Millennium Falcon tray. And so May the 4th was coming up, and for those of you who are not who are not crazy Star Wars fans, May the 4th is a Star Wars holiday. May the 4th be with you, right? And so I made a tray using the same exact blank as I do some of my long grain cutting boards. Same exact size, I just did some pocketing and cut out a Millennium Falcon tray. And I did it in the exact same species of woods as my long grain cutting boards that I sell. And it sold like crazy. We put it on Amazon, we put it on Etsy, and it sold really, really well on May the 4th. So the first year we put it up on Amazon, we did 600 sales with them over a 2-week span. And you know, we ran out, we couldn't keep up, yada, 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 right? Well, the next year, they still sold really well. And so then I decided to put them up on Etsy this year. And so I put them up on Etsy thinking this was a seasonal product, kind of like that heart tray, right? It's gonna be seasonal, I ain't gonna wanna deal with it. Well, this thing sold pretty good all year round. And so it ended up being just a little bump on May the 4th, but literally just pretty steady all year round. Our most popular color is cherry, or our most popular wood species is cherry, because my guess is it's the cheapest. And then the second most is walnut because it's the most expensive. And the hardest to sand is maple. But the reason I think this product is so popular is because it's not necessarily novelty. It is, but it's novelty that goes to a serious fan base. So the biggest lesson I learned on this one is that Star Wars people are committed, right? They're crazy. And so maybe you have some committed fan base that you know of, right? Like maybe it's Star Wars, maybe it's John Wayne, maybe it's the Grateful Dead, right? Maybe it's something that's just super cool that has a loyal fan base. Maybe you can make something for them, just like this Millennium Falcon tray sells really well for me to Star Wars fans. So check out this video right here if you want more tips on how to sell cutting boards. And remember guys, as always, if you ain't cutting it close, you ain't cutting it right.